Final free agency preview on the DNVR Broncos podcast today. Huge show. We're going to break down if the Broncos are going to be interested in new releases on the market like Evan Engram, and then also given our big board one final time before free agency starts, and this show starts now. "71 hours away from the legal tampering period opening, and that means free agency is just out of sight. We are getting so close, and we're going to break it down one final time, give you everything you need to know on the DNVR Broncos podcast, where we are Henry Chisholm to my right, Andre Simone on my left. We got you here behind the camera, Zach Stevens rocking and rolling with you today. And it is a good day, feel good Friday, because we are this close to free agency starting. How are we doing, fellas?
I'm doing great. Got to wake up early, watch some golf today. There's nothing better.
Nice.
I mean, Ryan said it on the show. He had a dream that Shane Lowry was going to win this golf tournament. I took a bet, 45-1. He's currently tied for first. It's
Oh my god.
No, it's been a wild ride.
Did you get in on the 30% boost too?
I used that, so I took that with Scotty, who is the favorite. Bet365 had a boost from like plus 750 to plus 900 for Rory, and then that. So right now, the top four are my three and Wyndham Clark, who's tied for the lead.
Whew,
it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good.
Dang, Drake, you feeling that good?
Well, I've been wondering, like, is Todd regretting coaching? Because now they're paying linebackers.
No.
You see that? Linebackers getting paid.
Linebackers get paid.
Todd gonna strap up, maybe? You think?
I know some
He
other
could.
Broncos
He's in
linebackers.
shape.
Yeah, he definitely could. He's in the building. You can maybe a little player coach action. Could happen there. And speaking of the coaching staff, Dre, man, what a great segue. You're like, we got to stop the BS. We got to dive in to football
baby.
here.
That's
yes,
right.
you got to believe.
That's
As
right.
we got victory lap in the Twitter chat saying, let's bow into this show. Let's jump right in. And it starts with the coaching staff. We broke the news yesterday about our own Todd Davis joining the Broncos coaching staff. Then about 6 hours later, the Broncos released their entire coaching staff. And if you want to get all the details of the Broncos' new coaching staff, go to thednvr.com, because the Broncos hired 8 coaches officially. And then they also changed the titles of 6 different coaches, giving promotions, kind of moving the squad around. And this 14 different moves at your coaching staff is insane, for not firing the head coach, for not firing the offensive coordinator, for not firing the defensive coordinator. It shows, I'm just going to jump right in. It shows how damn good this coaching staff was last year and how good of a job Sean Payton did building this coaching staff, because so many guys were poached off this staff. So then he had to fill those roles. But then you have Zach Strief, Davis Webb, and Jim Leonhard, all very sought after by other teams this year. And Sean said, I can lose some other guys. I can't lose them. Yeah. So I'm going to give all 3 of those guys big bumps, including assistant head coach titles, which also means, so it just shows you how good this coaching staff was last year. I'll stop right there for now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great. This is the situation you probably want to be in. And they kind of made their choices and said, we're going to prioritize those 3 guys. And if other guys are going to walk, if Declan Doyle is going to walk, there's not much we can do, because there's only so many promotions to go around. So yeah, I think they played it well. And hopefully this next batch of coaches are just as good as the last batch.
Well, and you're right. I think the big headline is being able to keep your big guns. I mean, coming into this after the season was over, if you were able to tell me they were able to keep all those guys, especially on the defensive side, and then add the Rizzler to the mix? Come on now.
Yeah.
Also, I was just trying through AI to get a Darren Rizzi image on the Rizzler's face, but
Wow.
ChatGPT is telling me they can't do that.
Who's the Rizzler?
You don't want to know.
I actually, yeah.
Do you know? Or do
No,
you
I
not
found
know?
out a couple weeks ago. Somebody said I look like the Rizzler or something like
Whoa.
that. Yeah. And so I Googled.
I think I've been throwing that around just because I
The
thought it
little-
sounded cool enough.
The little big guy who's part of the Costco guys
Yeah, he's
crew.
like the
and
worst
I know,
thing
I
to
know.
come out of
he's-
Costco.
he does this a lot. I love him.
Does he wear a mask?
No.
No.
Okay.
He's not like a villain or superhero.
This
Right?
is like a,
yeah.
He's a
a
super
12-year-old
villain.
content creator.
yeah.
Are you calling me a 12-year-old content creator? Oh, you're calling the Rizzler that?
Darren
Okay.
Rizzy gets the nickname the Rizzler.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
that
Rizzler's
was-
an internet sensation.
So that would be great throwing his face on it. Wow.
Exactly.
Maybe Sean, that's him.
That's him. He has a million followers on Instagram.
So he's real. He's a
No,
real
yeah,
person.
no, he's
Yeah,
a real person.
He's
Oh.
I hate every piece of content he's ever made.
So is he? He
I
is a
mean,
child, right?
He is a
Yeah,
child.
Because there's
yeah.
the other guy who isn't.
I mean, look, it's like no matter what your stance is on this 12-year-old kid who makes
Yeah.
stupid YouTube,
Yeah.
you're going to sound like an idiot whether you stand him or whether you hate him because it's like
It's a good point.
literally pointless
Yeah.
content being made by a well-grounded 12-year-old, which like mad respect to you, the Rizzler. Keep doing your thing.
Wait, but one more thing. Explain how he's from Costco.
So
He started off at Costco?
The Costco guy is the dad among these content creators, and he's big on like those double chocolate chunk cookies. Again, I'm not
Oh,
deep in this.
Costco isn't the store. It's a content creator.
Oh. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
The
is
guy's name
quite
is
a rabbit
Costco.
hole to
Like-
start.
Maybe when you guys go longer on the Monday stream towards the end of
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
we can
We'll bring you in. Okay,
unwrap
okay.
the whole.
Well,
yeah.
so what you said actually reminded me of something that's a little topical right now. You said like putting Darren Rizzy's face on the Rizzler, and maybe that could be an insult. Did you guys hear that Sean Payton kind of did this with Pat Surtain 2 years ago? After Pat got beat, had his worst game of the season 2 years ago against the New England Patriots. Pat Surtain just told this story this week. Sean made him wear the stat line of Devontae Parker. And of course, Devontae Parker had that big catch at the end of the game where the Patriots beat the Broncos and knocked him out of the playoffs. He made him wear Devontae Parker's stat line against him the rest of the week in practice. Like, total humiliation right there. Wow. So I
never
wouldn't be
saw it.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if... Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see it either, and we were out
They
there.
must
every
have put it
single
on
practice.
after. Also, yeah, I guess you just like tape it.
when your guys
I
pod,
think it was
like
on his nameplate.
oh,
like if on
okay.
Super Bowl week the views are just down a little bit,
Yeah.
should I print T-shirts
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like Monday?
Yes, that would be pretty good.
And so maybe if the special teams has a bad day or something, a bad game, Sean's gonna do that to Darren Rizzy. But speaking of
Wow.
of the Riz, Broncos officially hire him. I guess that was one of the news that was already out. But one more takeaway from me, guys.
Yeah.
So Broncos 2 days ago officially parted ways with Michael Wilhoit, the outside linebackers coach, who from my understanding was actually going to move into the inside linebackers coach this year, and then they were going to promote the Isaac Shoemaker, who was defensive quality control coach. They were going to promote him to outside linebackers coach. Well, now that they moved on from Michael Wilhoit, they just have one linebackers coach now, and that is Isaac Shoemaker. So this is relevant to us because it's relevant to our guy, Todd Davis. This is a direct path for Todd to be the
That's
inside
right.
linebackers coach, outside
That's right.
linebackers coach, maybe as soon as like training camp, middle of the season. If not, then next year. And so all really Todd has to do is beat out Brian Niedermeyer, who's another defensive quality control coach, just like Todd is. And I think he's got that job next year. And so I talked yesterday just about how I think
crazy.
Todd's going to jump up and skyrocket. He now has a direct path to do that.
What happened with Will Hoyt? If we may sidebar this for 90 seconds.
He, do you know anything?
I don't.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
he is charged with punching a cop.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened. No, that I did know. That
I was
did
like,
know.
do you want me to
Okay.
reenact
No.
it? Okay.
No, Broncos said goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no, it makes sense.
And then
Yeah.
their inside linebackers coach, Greg Minuski from last year, they just moved on from after the season. Sean was done with them. So they moved on, Sean and Vance, I guess. We're done with it, moved on from him. And then the plan again, move Will Hoyt inside, move one of the defensive quality control coaches to outside linebacker. Now that threw a
I thought you were
wrench
talking in the
plan.
last couple days, not the
Yeah.
ongoing situation.
Yeah.
last
Also-
week. That's my bad.
So speaking of Niedermeyer, Zanb21. He's on Broncos
Yeah,
Twitter.
yeah,
he has
of
like
course.
some good tweets.
Of
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
he had one.
Zan's been around for a while.
He has.
I
Yeah.
kid you not.
No, seriously. Sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, is this a guy I see? Is a guy everybody sees? Some good tweets. Maybe his best tweet ever. So our guy Niedermeyer, who is also quality control with Todd on defense. He previously was a high school coach, and he coached Mason Taylor, the tight end prospect
Out of LSU.
He was like a tight end
Jason
coach
Taylor's
as well.
son.
Yes. So if you're looking for ties, there's
Also,
a pretty crazy tie.
That is a crazy tie. Also, Niedermeyer coached was a high school head coach, and he's coached 0 career high school head coach games. Make that make sense.
He got promoted and then they left.
That's exactly right. He was the defensive coordinator last year at a high school, got the head coaching job this offseason, and then pieced before even a game started. So, I mean, we're diving deep on the Broncos coaching
What a
staff
life,
right
huh?
there. Yeah, seriously.
Not bad.
Also, I believe no offensive line coach anymore because Zach Strief is now offensive run game coordinator and assistant head coach.
Yep.
But you have Evan Rothstein, director of game management and offensive line assistant, and Chris Morgan, assistant offensive line. So you got 2 assistants, and you'd imagine it's just going to still be Zach Strief, but without the title.
Because he's got an even better title.
He does.
And
2.
final thing to wrap this coaching staff up. And again, if you want to see all the names, go to thednvr.com. We've got an article up
Phenomenal
breaking
coverage.
it all down. This is just another example. Speaking of Zach Strief getting a promotion, Davis Webb getting a promotion. He's the pass game coordinator on the offensive side. Jim Leonard's now the assistant head coach as well. The Broncos giving all of these guys promotions is just another example of why this ownership group is the best in the NFL, or at least, in the top 3 in the NFL, because Sean Payton told the ownership, I don't want to lose these guys. And the only way that we don't lose them is, 1, I give them a promotion, a title promotion, but then you have to give them a raise too, so that they don't go and get a big raise from somewhere else as well. And the ownership said, yep, whatever you need, Sean. And that is something that so many teams won't do. In fact, you're seeing it with the Browns, where the owner won't even meet with Myles Garrett as he's demanding a trade and wants to meet with the owner. And the Broncos ownership is it's another example. We've only seen A+ examples from the ownership group in the 2.5 years they've owned the team.
Well, it's one of those areas where it makes a huge difference, the owners, right? Because there's no cap on how you can pay coaches. So this is one of those ways where you can really game the system. And there's kind of the haves and have-nots, you know, and it's nice to be in the haves camp right now.
I'd be willing to bet the Broncos are the only team with 3 assistant head coaches.
Yeah, I would.
I don't think there's another one.
Yep.
And that's where your money's going, is having those 3 assistant head coach titles.
It's huge, man.
Yep, it is huge. And what else is huge is I want to give a shout out to our friends over on this Funky Friday. It's actually a feel-good Friday. It's actually a tasty Friday, because I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Raising Cane's, where if you want a delicious lunch, if you want a delicious dinner, there's no better way to kick off your weekend than over at Raising Cane's. Henry, when you said it yesterday, I was like, that is on my weekend plan list. So I don't know if I'm going tonight, but I'm going this weekend for sure. And over at Raising Cane's, they've got the best chicken fingers out there. They've also got delicious slaw. I'm big on their creamy coleslaw. Of course, secret cane sauce. Whether you're getting a sandwich, whether you're getting anything, you got to get the cane sauce. It is amazing. The crispy crinkle cut fries and buttery Texas toast. And some people order all of that and then just put it all together on a sandwich. And if you want to go that way, that is a delicious sandwich, best sandwich you're going to find. And you can order online or through their mobile app to avoid the lines for cook-to-order, hand-battered chicken fingers. Race into Raising Cane's turbocharger chicken fingers and get them even faster by doing online ordering at raisincanes.com or through their mobile app. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
One love, baby.
Also, shout out to Volo. If you go to Raising Cane's, maybe a good idea to go play some kickball after and work it off a bit.
That's sick.
Yeah, Raising Cane's and kickball,
Or vice versa. Build up the appetite,
oh,
then crush it with Raising Cane's.
you probably perform better before.
Yeah.
I would guess. But Raising Cane's and kickball sounds like an awesome day. Volo is Denver's most popular provider of adult social sports leagues, pickup games, and events. They have kickball, of course. They also have soccer, volleyball, pickleball, basketball, cornhole, bowling, badminton, I think, is in there. There's all sorts of just anything you can think of. You can Volo it up. You can play in Lodo, Rhino, Highland, City Park, Cherry Creek. A lot of different options. If you want to meet new people, make new friends, if you're trying to get more active, or if you're just going to Cane's, got to work that off, or if you just need something to entertain you when you're done with work. Players can sign up with Volo as a free agent, a small group, or a full team, and all ability levels and backgrounds are welcome to join. Use code DNVR10. That's all one word, DNVR10. You'll get $10 off any Volo Denver league.
And shout out to the Toyota chat and everyone tuning in with us on a Friday. Hit us with a thumbs up when you tune in. We really appreciate it. And we got to just dive right into more news because there's so many news and notes going on around the NFL right now, and some that could impact the Broncos. And let's just start with the biggest one over this past 24 hours. Trey Hendrickson is available via trade. The Bengals allowed him to seek a trade right now. And we're talking about a guy that has 35 sacks in the past 2 seasons. We're talking about an incredibly productive guy. Yep, a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. And the reason why we even bring this up is Sean Payton drafted him in New Orleans and absolutely loved him. And he turned out to be
all-time
a great player.
draft class. They got Henderson, Zack Baun. Like, it's one of the great draft classes of the last 10 years.
Alvin Kamara, Ryan Ramczyk. Of course, that was a Garrett Bowles draft as well. So, I mean, just so much talent in that draft. And Hendrickson was just... because that draft class was so good, they couldn't pay everyone, so he left in free agency. And now the Bengals are just bungling the situation. They won't pay him, and so he wants to be traded. And a report comes out today that they're looking for a 2nd or 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
To me, it probably doesn't make sense, but like anytime there's that Sean Payton connection, I think it just needs to be brought up.
Yeah, and I mean, it would obviously be awesome to have him because, again, he's somebody who, I guess... he plays 3rd downs for Jonathan Cooper and plays 1st and 2nd downs for Nick Bonito. And so really he's kind of your every down player. And I guess what that means is those two are kind of trading off. But again, like you already have those guys. You already paid Cooper. You're about to pay Nick Bonito. Honestly, the only way it would really make sense is if you then trade Nick Bonito and say, like, we can get assets for him, because paying Bonito, Cooper, and Hendrickson, as much as I believe, like, yeah, build up that defensive line, it's not realistic.
Hendrickson traded. Myles Garrett wants a trade. Nick Bonito looking for an extension. Those are your NFL's 1, 2, 3 sack leaders from last season.
Oh,
pretty crazy.
Wow. Yep. I mean, if I went out and was in top 3 in sacks, I'd probably want to raise long-term extension, guaranteed money.
Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean,
get that
especially
back.
if I were able to do that, yeah, I'm going to try to capitalize on that at 5'8", 133 pounds right there.
Yep.
Okay, so probably not much interest there. But there is someone with big time interest from the Broncos standpoint. The Jaguars released tight end or wide receiver Evan Engram, and now he is available.
Yeah.
And we broke down earlier this week the top tight ends in free agency, and man, it's an underwhelming class. I think Evan Engram jumps to the top of that list if you're looking for more of a wide receiver at tight end, and he makes that market that much better this year.
He is. I think it's not even close. I think it's Evan Engram by a mile is the best tight end out there. Again,
don't be a joker.
Oh boy. But last year only played 9 games. That's why
Yaya literally just threw up on our studio computer.
It
Unfortunately,
sucks when he does that.
Yeah.
Sorts every day.
Yeah, tough.
But yeah, I mean, 9 games last year, it's disappointing. Year before, 114 catches, 963 yards from a tight end.
Yeah.
Like there's
Career year. Like what, 128 targets? Like just
give him to Sean Payton, and he's probably going to be top 3 in the NFL in receiving yards, assuming health.
What would you guys say the number is to get a guy like that?
Well, what did they save by cutting him?
I don't know what they did. I mean,
check.
the Jags are tearing everything down. And so it makes sense, I guess, for them to move on from him. Even though it did come as a surprise because he is good. When he's healthy, he's good. And he is a guy that, honestly, guys, if the Broncos draft Colston Loveland in the first round, they hope he becomes Evan Engram in these next couple of years. Now, you probably hope the ceiling's, I don't know, 114 catches is as high of a ceiling as you can get. You want more consistency from Colston Loveland, but like next year or the year after, if you're just being honest with yourself, he's not going to be better probably than Evan Engram. So if you want like a short-term fix for that tight end room, boom, you go and get Evan Engram, and that completely eliminates a big need for a joker or for a receiver at that tight end position. Now you can still go and get Colston Loveland in the first round, and boom, oh my gosh, you've just completely transformed your tight end room right there. But this is a guy that completely eliminates that. But because of how bad the tight end market is, to answer your question, how much he's going to cost, he's at the top of that there's going to be competition for him. And it's like the opposite of inside linebacker, where there's so many good ones that maybe you're able to land the guy you want for a tiny bit of a discount because not every team's going for one. But Evan Engram, I don't know, what are we looking at? Because he's 30 years old, so he's older. He wouldn't fit in the Broncos' plans of going with the full youth movement, but he's got a couple of years left.
Hank, I don't know about you, but if I'm looking for that Joker type tight end or running back, I'd rather go with a younger guy.
If there is one.
If I'm adding a vet to the room, I'd rather your more inline guy, and then you spice it up with the Joker.
Yeah,
you know?
so I felt that same way given the previous class of tight ends. I think Evan Engram is good enough that I would commit to it. Because again, like I think you get 3 good years out of him. It means that you don't need to go get a Colston Loveland. And maybe you could probably find a guy with the higher ceiling. Like Colston Loveland has the higher ceiling. I also think though you're just going to go get 800 yards a year from your Joker tight end if you pick Evan Engram. And that's
assuming health.
Yeah, assuming health. And that's good enough for me, I think.
Yeah, he's a good middle for Loveland.
Yep.
Like you're hoping for a higher ceiling out of Loveland.
Yeah. And better blocking, you would hope.
And we know that the floor might be significantly lower because that's just the gamble you take when drafting a 21-year-old kid.
20.
But if your middle production was Engram, you'd be pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and the reason you go out and get Engram right now is to just help Bo right away and to not have to wait for a tight end to develop. Brock Bowers is the anomaly when it comes to tight ends. Typically, tight ends do take many years to truly develop in the NFL. So you could still draft Colston Loveland and get Evan Engram, and they could be a good pairing because Evan Engram would be that guy for the first 2 years, and then Colston Loveland would be that guy for after. So it's a very interesting name to keep an eye on, and I'm curious in the next segment when we build our free agency boards, top 5, if Evan Engram is in all 3 of our top 5, regardless of position, and he's a guy that just hit the market yesterday. Speaking of a guy that's off the market, and Henry, I have to apologize because this was your guy, man. Bobby Wagner staying with the Commanders. We expected this to happen, but they waited almost until the final hour to get this deal done. But he stays with the Commanders 1 year, $9.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, there was no chance he was coming to the Broncos. It felt like he was either going to go back to the Commanders or retire. It's good for him to get like the pay increase he got. I wasn't expecting that. I think he guaranteed $8 million this year.
That's pretty nice.
It's more like $5 million the past few years for him. But yeah, I mean, it's one more linebacker off the market, and now you look and it's Nick Bolton kind of in a tier of his own. It's Dre Greenlaw because the injury is a step below, and then you can patch it up. But after those two, you might as well go get Cody Barton, I'd say.
Could Levante David be the Bobby Engram of this class?
He has that aged
veteran
more. Linebacker.
That's what they were saying about Bobby last offseason, right?
They did a couple years ago. Yeah,
actually, like
a couple years ago, they did.
Season, they've been like, man, he's a great player, but probably past his. And then he goes out and does the exact same thing. Like, man, he's great every single year.
First team All Pro again. Yep. And that's where like Levante David, he just isn't on that level. I think it's not that I'd be against it, but I think the appeal of a Bobby Wagner is that like you are getting the best linebacker in the NFL potentially. Like by PFF grades or whatever, he has been that guy over and over again. If you go after like a Levante David, I think that you can get a good linebacker, but he's probably going to be gone in a year or two anyway, just because of the age. And I'd unless you're really getting that top tier, I would say get somebody you can build around going forward.
Interesting. We'll continue this inside linebacker discussion because I know an inside linebacker has to be in all three of our top fives when we build this next segment. Really quick, though, Bobby Wagner off the market. We know Zack Baun's off the market. Kind of a bummer from an outside perspective for the Broncos, just losing potential options at inside linebacker. But inside the Broncos building, they're not surprised. They were planning on this for weeks now, not just like the past 24, 48 hours. They're not scrambling at all. They expected both of these things to happen. So not a bummer in the Broncos' eyes. Couple of more things. Jonathan Allen is released. We knew earlier this week that he was going to be potentially traded. And when names come out that you're going to be traded, a lot of times what happens is teams just say, okay, well, we're not going to trade for you. We'll just wait till you release, and then we'll sign you. He is officially released as of about an hour and a half ago. Let's say the Broncos move on, don't re-sign DJ Jones. I know he's not a true DJ Jones replacement, but having a need on the defensive line, is he potentially at all an interest for the Broncos, Dre?
A lot of these free agent D linemen are kind of like Jonathan Allen, where it's like, I'm intrigued, but it's another 3-4 defensive end. It doesn't really. Now, I'm all for more depth, right? Like we know how depth on the defensive front. We just saw the Eagles. I'm all about that. But yeah, it is you're not necessarily filling that need of DJ's absence. You're just adding depth to a rotation you already like a decent amount.
Yeah. And so realistically, Malcolm Roach would slide into that like nose tackle, defensive tackle spot. And then what you'd be looking for is one more guy to also do that and back him up. And so you'd still have that need for that guy. And then you'd also have, once you find him, 5 guys already locked up, which isn't the end of the world. It's nice to have that depth, but sometimes it's also nice to be able to say like, hey, let's have Uwazurike, Jordan Jackson, Matt Henningsen, a draft pick, and all these guys kind of compete for that last spot instead of going in there just saying like, yep, we're spending money to have these 5 guys solidified. It's usually not the best value.
Yeah, and I don't think the Broncos are going to be interested just because, I mean, you do have Jonathan Franklin Myers at one of those spots. You do have Zach Allen at one of those spots. By the way, both of those guys in the past 72 hours have semi-requested a raise from the Broncos. So then you're not going to be able to bring Jonathan Allen in to be a backup and pay him very little. No. He's going to go with the team. He's probably going to go with a contender and kind of plug and play for them. So even though he is a big name, Broncos might have a need on the defensive line. He's just not the right fit there. There's a report right now, guys, just to wrap up our news and notes from, I want to say Mike Jones. Maybe that's
Mike Jones.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for. Of the Athletic national reporter who says the Broncos are desperately looking for a veteran wide receiver to give Bo Nix. I want to push back on this report / really put the expectations in the right frame of mind for people here, because to me, this is not Chris Godwin. This is not a veteran reporter who's at the top of the list. I would not be surprised if the Broncos sign third receiver, just like they did last year with
Josh Reynolds.
Thank you.
Alan Lazard time.
Yeah, exactly. It's that guy. It's a third type of guy who is a veteran, because this room is really young, and I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a wide receiver as well, so make the room even younger. But this is not a big free agency signing. And if you even learn from last year, like Josh Reynolds, the Broncos wanted the youth movement, so they cut Josh Reynolds through the season. As John says in the Twitter chat, they could bring back Josh Reynolds. He's available right now. So I would be surprised if the Broncos make a big-time signing in free agency at receiver, though.
So, Devontae Adams, no. Keenan Allen?
Oh,
We
Keenan
start
Allen
to
could
be
be
more
kinda
in the
nice.
ballpark.
Yeah.
huh?
Keenan Allen could be perfect at the right price.
Amari
what
Cooper?
is Keenan Allen? Maybe Amari. See, it's names, but it's not the price tag. It's former names, but not the price tag. Yeah, I mean, those guys are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen. I didn't hear his
know.
name once last year
I
with the
know.
Bears. Was supposed to be the best wide receiver core in the NFL. What did he do? Just hurt again?
744, 70 catches, 7 touchdowns.
Wow, way better than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, the year before that, 1,200. Year before that, 750. I guess
Yeah.
injured in both those. 1,100. So, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he has another 1,000-yard season in him. I also wouldn't be surprised if, like, It's very
If
possible.
he's injured by week 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's
And the
also,
Keenan Allen experience.
but he's also said Chicago or Chargers are his only 2 options.
Chargers.
So he has said
Okay.
that multiple times.
Wow. Going back to your ex like that after they just trade you. Crawling right back.
Crazy.
Maybe it's LA. I don't know what it is. Okay, let's jump. Any other news or notes you guys want to throw out there that I might have missed over the past 24
so.
hours?
You nailed it,
I think that's all of it.
I mean, we're rocking and rolling. Free agency hasn't started, but the NFL is already churning and burning.
Nuts.
And Broncos being quiet outside of the coaching staff front, and it's no surprise because they're on the up and up. They're not a team that has to be cutting players because of salary cap implications or anything like that. They're on the up and up, and this is exactly a great spot for the Broncos to be. And speaking of great spots for you to be, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. Not only does Coors Light make delicious beer, they make awesome swag. This sweatshirt right here, I get so many compliments when I wear it on this show, when I'm out and about. They've also got awesome signs right there, and their beer is perfect for chilling. And isn't that what we all want to do this weekend? I mean, it's a little chill outside right now, chilly outside. And if you want to chill inside, grab a Coors Light, and you can pretty much get them anywhere. Everyone knows about Coors, and they're made for chilling. It's brewed chilled, it's bottled chilled, it's distributed chilled. They even commit to it so much that their cans and bottles turn blue. The mountains on turn blue when it's the perfect chill temperature for you. So whatever your chill is, whether it's with friends, whether it's hanging out at home when it's cold out or when it warms up over this weekend, Coors Light is the beer to turn to, as cold as the Rocky Mountains. And you can get Coors Light delivered straight to your door if you go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. And again, you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer, whether it's bars, of course, DNVR bar, or any liquor stores as well. So make sure to check them out, CoorsLight.com/DNVR, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Also, shout out to Bet365. I mentioned before, but it's going to be a big golf weekend for me because RK had a dream. And the dream was that Shane Lowry was going to win this golf tournament. And he's
crazy.
Solo lead right here. Got him plus 4,500. Now he's plus 425. Incredible stuff from RK. Also have Scotty, who has the second best odds. Also have Rory, who has the third best odds. Basically, 3 of the 4 guys better than 10-1 odds. And you could be having fun with me if you sign up for Bet365. There's golf. The Nuggets, Nuggets tonight. Avs won big last night.
And play Saturday.
So hopefully you have the -1.5 with Brock Nelson.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
I am hyped for that.
No doubt.
But yeah, all sorts of good stuff going on over at Bet365, which is an official partner of the Colorado Avalanche, official partner of the Denver Nuggets, and our official betting partner. So if you want to sign up, you can use the code DNVR365. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. All you gotta do, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses with the code DNVR365, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Man, the chat's going off in the Toyota chat about receivers. People throwing DK Metcalf's name out there. Sean's not going to want to pay a receiver $30 million. We got someone saying, Hey Duke, who says we need a chain mover receiver unless Mims or Franklin improve their hands immensely. But then adds, it could be Vele, but you need multiple bets on it. If there's a chain mover that proved himself as a rookie last year, Vele couldn't have done any more last year. I mean, he proved that he's got the hands for that right there. And I just want to remind people one more time, Sean Payton likes this receiving group more than maybe anyone else in the world right now. And he said that publicly, but I know he means that privately. That's not just lip service for that group. He really likes them a lot more. And that's kind of what he's always thought. He wants one guy at receiver. He has that one guy now at Cortland Sutton. He had Michael Thomas, and then you kind of just churn and burn with the other positions there, and you hope that someone else pops. And we saw 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games for Marvin Mims. That is talking right there. As Daniel Sapp says, and pretty much what I'm trying to say, he just put a more straightforward wide receiver talk is smoke and mirrors. I'm right there with you, Daniel. Let's see what you guys think here, and let's dive in to our final free agency big board. The Broncos top free agents. Now, guys, you can do this however you want. You can do your 5 free agents for the Broncos, or you can do it in the Broncos perspective, how you think they have their board set. But I want one final kind of board that we're setting because Sean Payton, George Payton, Vance Joseph, they're probably coming together today, one final time before the weekend and saying, Todd Davis is in the room too, and they're probably saying, what's our board like? At 10 o'clock on Monday morning, who are we calling first?
Yeah.
Who is on that phone first? Henry?
Evan Engram. Like, he to me is
number one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, in terms of like, not in terms of like, if you could add any guy to the team, who would you choose? But in terms of like what he's going to cost, what he would mean to the team, and just the other options at the position. Like, to me, this is the one spot where I want him. And if it costs me $10 million a year, it costs me $10 million a year. You hope it's not too much more than that, but I mean that's a total game changer for the Broncos.
So Henry, he says, you call him at 10 o'clock, and he says, you know what, Sean? I can see what you could do with me. 3 years, $35 million, first 2 years fully guaranteed.
I think so. I'd be curious to see what outsiders would think, but I think that's a pretty good deal. That seems like good value to me.
That'd be a splash.
I think
Right
I'd
there.
rather Zach Ertz at like 66% of that money.
1 year, $6 million, something for Zach potentially.
I like the long-term
agree.
aspect of it. You throw him in there, give him a few years. I like it. I see it, though. He was number one on our tight end big board a couple days ago.
Yeah, exactly. Dre, where are you going, number one?
I'll go Milton Williams. It's not a need, but I think this is a guy that under other circumstances would not hit the market. It's just the Eagles are so loaded that someone's going to have to hit the market. They were able to pay Zack Baun and Saquon, so obviously you got to make some choices. Super young. He's worth high-end premium dollars. If I'm to pay a free agent big money, this would be the guy I do. And if that means maybe JFM doesn't get his raise and you move on, so be it. I think you're upgrading and you're building the team the right way by spending money on a guy like Milton Williams.
And I got to say, I'm not going to have him on my list, but this is how Sean Payton wants to build teams, is through the inside out, both on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. And we've seen it we've seen it in both areas since Sean's taken over. It's literally been about building the offensive line, building the defensive line, giving money on both sides right there. And man, that would be a huge move right there. And this also means DJ Jones is gone, right? You're not re-signing him.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and you find a cheaper nose tackle to serve your purpose on first and second down.
Yeah.
Got Malcolm Roach there, who can do that. You probably need a backup for him, but how concerned are you about a backup nose tackle? You can get that in the draft if you need
don't
to.
care. Yeah.
Man, that's you guys are shocking me. I thought we were all gonna have the same number one
Really?
overall, because
Lay it
I
on
think
us. Who do you have?
I think Sean is picking up the phone. And I think Sean's doing this. He's not leaving it to Vance or George. Sean's picking up the phone. And I don't know if Nick Bolton spends his off seasons in Kansas City. I wouldn't think so. But he is calling Nick Bolton and trying to lock him down, a difference maker. And that's what the Broncos would have at the inside linebacker position. And you go from who are the starting linebackers at the end of last season? Sternad and Barton, probably.
Yep.
You go from that at the end of last season, who, credit to both of those guys, they played way better than anyone expected, including in the Broncos building. But you go from those two guys to Alex Singleton and Nick Bolton at the start of this season. You have arguably one of the best inside linebacker duos in the NFL. To add to an elite defense already, now you've got an elite middle of the defense with an elite back end of the defense, an elite front of the defense. This is dangerous right here. And Sean believes in himself to make the offense good and continue to build. So he says, I want to get more pieces for the defensive side of the ball. And this is what I think the Broncos should do. This is what I think the Broncos will do as well. I think they're going to be very, very aggressive when it comes to Nick Bolton and free agency. Now, the number might scare people because we saw Zack Baun get $17 million a year, and that was when Zack Baun was only negotiating with one team. Now Nick Bolton's going to be out there. He's pretty much the clear number one inside linebacker now that Bobby Wagner and Zack Baun are off the market now. Nick Bolton could get over $17 million, but what I love about him is he still might not be at his peak. So I'm okay paying big money because he's going to be 25 years old this entire next season. I would love this, and I think Sean's going to love it too.
Yeah, no, I think things are trending that way. I'm not the biggest Nick Bolton fan out there. Just again, he has those 2-down linebacker vibes. The coverage stuff is a bit of a question, and I'm not totally against it. I think it could happen. I think he could be a really good player. And talking to like Chiefs fans, they really love him. But it's just one of those things where it's like, are you really going to give like $15 million a year to Nick Bolton when Josie Jewell left and got $6 million? Like, there's just a value thing there where I'm not sure it all adds up.
That's totally fair, and Alex is getting 6 right now too. I believe Nick Bolton is Sean's number 1. Mm-hmm. If it's not Sean, they might go totally, or if they don't get Nick Bolton, I think they go a totally different direction, like Robert Spillane or something like that, and bring him in to complement him with Alex and kind of go not an expensive route. They're not able to get their big prize.
I guess here's what it is, and I talked to Dre about it a little bit. It's that I don't know who your third down linebacker is between Bolton and Singleton, because I kind of think Singleton's third down, like the range and cover ability, is better than Bolton's. And again, that's prior to the knee injury. I think that's where I get hung up. Is if I'm wanting to go get a linebacker, I might be more tempted to go get a guy who, I trust more in those third down situations.
Henry, who are you going with number 2? You going inside backer at all, or?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with. Give me Aaron Jones. Again, I'm gonna see, can we get this like 2 years at like $8 million a year or less? Because if you can, again, that's just a really good running back who's proven over and over again that he has such a well-rounded skill set. Like, you can run him between the tackles and you can throw him the ball. I think that in Sean's offense, he probably is a pretty good fit as a joker. But, maybe not perfect fit. I don't think he hamstrings you one way or the other. If you were to go get like a Nick Chubb, you're like, okay, what we need now is that speed joker type. Whereas if you have an Aaron Jones, I think that you could kind of get whoever you want and pair with him. Is that too crazy, or do you need to go power with him?
No, I think he'd allow you to. I think the biggest selling point is you can do what the Bills did to the Broncos in the wild card round with a back like Aaron Jones.
Totally.
You can lean on teams. You have that gear to go to, and that's pretty appealing.
$8 million a year. I don't
That's
like
too
that.
much.
Yeah, because I also want them to go and get a guy in the first 2-3 rounds of the draft. And if you draft a guy in the first 3 rounds of the draft, that's going to be your guy this year or next year, and you're really going to want him this year. So, man, I personally, a 30-year-old running back paying him $8 million, I don't love it, but I mean, he does just instantly upgrade your room, so I do like it from that perspective.
100%.
Dre, who are you going to here?
I'll stick. My top 2 guys are the big money free agents. Give me Chris Godwin. Coming off the injury, I think there might be some extra value that you wouldn't have got otherwise. Also, pre-injury, he was absolutely balling out. I think he's a perfect Sean Payton type of wide receiver. And while maybe he lacks the dynamicism of a blockbuster type number 1 wide receiver, the way he upgrades that entire receiving core becomes, I think that's a significant upgrade that's worth those dollars. Like, then Court can really, as your number 2, the things you can do with Mims and Franklin really get exciting. So I won't, on like a very popular name who they almost certainly won't be signing, I won't spend too much time, but I went big money free agents on my first 2 guys.
An immediate upgrade to the room and fits in the room so well. He would make a lot of sense if I just really didn't get the sense that the Broncos aren't going to spend big money at wide receiver. But everything you said from a football perspective, he makes sense. And just one more thing, like we celebrate, and as we should, Cortland Sutton getting 1,000 yards, and he's done that twice. We shouldn't celebrate 1,000-yard receivers in 2025. We should celebrate like a team having 3,000-yard receivers. Sure, that's it. But one, like, no, Chris Godwin, all he does is get 1,000 yards when he's healthy. So, I mean, to tell you just how good of a player he is right there.
100%.
For me, I'm sticking at inside linebacker, and man, Dre Greenlaw might honestly be my number 1 guy. I just think that the Broncos don't have him as number 1. The only reason not to love Dre Greenlaw is the injury situation, and how can you not be skeptical of a guy that's played, like 24 snaps of football in the past 18 or 14 months, 15 months or so? But I believe he's going to be healthy, and man, he's so good. He comes in here, and if the Broncos get either Nick Bolton or Dre Greenlaw, again, pairing with Alex Singleton, you've got a fantastic inside linebacking core that just ups your defense even more.
Love it.
Henry, 3.
It's Godwin for me here. Again, it's the
There
same
you
thing
go.
where it's
There you
a
go.
good fit, and there's a small chance that you could get a little discount just because of the injury. I kind of doubt it because everybody knows how good he is. But again, even if the cost was $20 million a year, I think I'd still be pretty tempted to pull the trigger.
I like that. I like that a lot there. I might have to put him on my board. You've said how you're going big monies with the first 2. Change in direction with third, or?
I'm going with another Dre Greenlaw as well. So you said everything perfectly. Agree with you completely. And still just 28, which is really appealing. I'd rather go younger with most of these guys. So you will notice that as a pattern on my board.
Man, and that's what I want to do here. But Henry, you make so many good points about Evan Engram here, and I don't like him at big money, but let's just say for whatever reason, teams are a little scared about the injury last year. If I could get him for 1 year, $8 million, 1 year, $10 million, because then that does not change my draft board at all and change my draft plans. I can still get a tight end. I would probably go Evan Engram right here. And just instantly helps Bo, instantly helps Sean, gives a major boost to the offense. So I'm going with you, Henry, here. I'm going Evan Engram. Where are you going for?
I feel like it has to be one of these linebackers, but I struggle with which one. It probably is Bolton here.
Okay,
again,
so you don't love him, but you're not that high on him.
It's just that you have to
fourth on your board.
You kind of have to do something, And so I don't love the fit. Is again, I think he's Josie Jewell with maybe just a little bit more juice to him, and honestly, maybe not that much after how Josie played again last year. That's too low. He makes some plays in coverage. He broke up 10 passes last year, and when you go back and watch, it feels like a lot of those were like, threw behind the receiver, and he was able to get a hand on it. And I think that kind of helps his coverage grades more than it probably should for a boxy linebacker who's best at just plugging things moving straight ahead. But, I mean, I think that you need to do something there, and the answers are probably him or Dre Greenlaw, and I'll go with the healthy guy.
Love it. Love it.
Yep.
Dre? Is there another Dre that you could sign here?
No, there's not. Rico Dowdle, however, I'm going off the board. The Cowboys' former running back.
You do like him.
Free agent running back. I think you're buying at the right time. After a 1,000-yard season, 39 receptions last year as well. I think you're buying on this kid at just the right time. He's not your joker, but he can be more of your bell cow, that veteran, more responsible, reliable running back in your backfield, and I think he'd be well worth the money spent in free agency. I also think you can get him at a decent enough price.
You said something that was huge there. You're buying at the right time for him. I don't know how the Cowboys, unless they are set on Genty and maybe going to trade up for him, how they're not re-signing this guy. I mean, 1,000 yards. He's had one season as a starter, and it's 1,000 yards. This would be definitely buying at the right time, and also buying affordably, just because his name is Rico Dowdle and not a household name. So he's just not gonna be. He's gonna be passed up there. Man, I know who I want for my 5th, but I'm seeing if there's anyone that's available there with the 4th. I'll go. I'll go Javon Holland here. I don't want to spend big money, but maybe his name gets, maybe he falls a little bit, and if he falls, would really just help your safety position there. And heck, you just have the Miami Dolphins safety position with Brandon Jones and him. I don't want to spend big money though. That's why he's not at the top of my list there. So I'll put him 4th right there, but I'm loving what I'm going to do with my 5th one. But Henry, I'll let you go first.
Can't bind him to me. I really like him. And part of it's because I've watched a bunch of Vikings games because of my girlfriend this year, but he's really good. And I think that he's maybe more versatile than he gets credit for, because he's that deep kind of safety, but also converted cornerback and played corner at Cal and had to flip to safety because he isn't quite fast enough. You still see some of that cover stuff, like man cover stuff, show up. Combine that with all the plays that he makes. And sometimes that's the part that scares me about him, is because you have so many interceptions, you do however many game-saving plays, that kind of inflates the cost a bit more than it probably should, because some of that is fluky. But that's why he's number 5 and not number 1 on the list.
I like that. Dre, round us out.
Give me Mekhi Becton.
Oh.
This offensive line, offensive tackle class in the draft, damn small. And you want big guys. You want tone setters. If you didn't get that feeling after the wild card game, I don't know what to tell you. I think you could upgrade at right tackle. I think you could upgrade at left guard. And yeah, similar to Milton Williams, he's kind of that equivalent. Like, I think it's a unique opportunity to be able to buy on a guy that on most other teams would already have been re-signed, but the Eagles can't afford to do that because of, and I think he could play inside right now while maybe being given a path to developing and being your right tackle in a couple seasons.
So then is Powers or Miners the
intrigues
center?
me.
Probably Powers is who you move, right?
I would give Powers some
Yeah.
see if he can do it. He's never done it, not
No.
even dating back to Oklahoma. So I mean that might just be a bit of a crazy theory for me, but yeah, I want to get bigger, more imposing on the offensive line, and there's few others that could do that than Mekhi Becton.
I love that. See, because I have my Tristan Wirfs theory. You do the same thing. It's like a great tackle prospect who had like that. I don't know. Is he athletic enough to be in there? Do you have to move him to guard? He gets benched this year. You wind up signing him this offseason as your backup. Maybe get your swing tackle job. That's still probably Palshevsky, but you develop him as a guard in that Mekhi Becton role. But you one up to me by just saying, just get Becton himself. Don't mess around with Tristan Wirfs.
I'd love it.
Or not Wirfs, sorry.
Willis.
Jedrick Wills. Jedrick Wills, the W names in that draft. Ugh.
For my final one, I'm going running back, and I'm going J.K. Dobbins, a guy that is going to be dinged for his injury history, which no doubt is there. But I'm also drafting a guy in the first 3 rounds at running back, and I'm getting a guy with J.K. Dobbins that was arguably the 3rd best running back in the NFL last year when healthy, behind Saquon and behind Derrick Henry. He only started 11 games last year and ran for 905 yards.
No, he was
9
awesome.
touchdowns. He was so good. Again, he's going to get hurt, but that's why you're drafting a guy. And then your 1-2 right there with J.K. Dobbins and a rookie is just absolutely dynamic. If he stays healthy, you're looking at a 1,500-yard rusher from last year with the Chargers. So this is a guy that I would love to get. He's going to be cheap and add to my tight end or add to my running back room. Let us know in the Twitter chat who you would put on your list. I like everyone's list here. We got a lot of variety here.
Yeah, it was fun.
But what I
Good
really
exercise.
learned from this personally is from a Broncos perspective, man, there's not an opportunity to make 5 big splashes. This is a weak free agency class like we've talked about over these past couple of weeks. Okay, that wasn't a full draft, but let's dive into a real draft now where we are going to draft in honor of free agency. We're going to draft the Broncos' best free agent signings ever. And Henry, looks like you might be lined up for the number 1 overall pick, even though you've had the number 1 overall pick like 5 straight weeks now. I don't know what you here's doing with this board right now. That doesn't seem fair.
Honestly, you just keep winning, so I'm like, I need to give Hank some sort of
Wow.
advantage.
So
I
I
put
put out
you-
the number 1
So
overall
I
pick.
actually put you in the middle this time, which is the worst spot, and I'm like, hopefully this can help out Hank.
Wow.
Now you just gave me the win. Give me Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good one.
Are we doing the rest of the draft, or are we just giving me the trophy now?
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
You can thank you here for that one.
I do. I did.
Man, that is definitely the
You
number
can
1
take that
overall
a
pick.
much better
But-
later, Hank.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
It is.
But the Broncos have some other really good ones.
They do.
Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
Peyton
They do.
is no doubt the best.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got other really good ones. And with this one, I'm going to go with maybe the best personality. I'm going to go with Aqib Talib, and also damn good player, Hall of Famer right there. So give me Aqib Talib there. Love it. Dre, back-to-back picks. It's the advantage of picking 3rd.
What a great pick. Give me DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah,
I think I get
almost going him.
good value here on D Ware.
Yep.
What a legend. One of my favorite Broncos of all time, especially as far as guys who weren't with the team for a super long time.
Yeah.
And then give me Ed McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good
I
pick.
mean, literal Broncos legend. How could you not? So,
Also, like, how could you not when we had him on the show at the Super Bowl, and he was absolutely fantastic. Just a pleasure to talk to, a joy. You could feel how much he loves the Broncos as well. And what the hell are we doing not putting him in the Ring of Fame?
seems odd.
Seems
odd.
Insane.
You'd think they'd remedy that.
My goodness. With this pick, I'm gonna go after a Hall of Famer. I'm gonna go after John Lynch right here.
good one. It's a good one.
Speaking of Ring of Fame, he's in the Ring of Fame. Henry, you get back to back
Crazy
now.
that
Yeah.
he is and Ed isn't.
I know.
Kind of doesn't
I
make
know.
sense.
Luckily, I think I've got an easy pick here. Yeah. Alfred Williams.
Huh?
Yeah. I mean, helped you to
legend.
2 Super
Yeah.
Bowls, all pro first team in a Super Bowl season. I mean, maybe it was not the Super Bowl season, but again, still really, really good player.
Yep.
After that, I can kind of double up on the same thing.
Yeah.
And I will. Give me Neil Smith.
That's
Give me
a
Neil
great
Smith.
one.
Yeah,
That's a great
Smoked
one.
a cigar with Neil Smith this summer.
Whoa,
Wow.
really?
Yeah.
No way.
I got way dizzier than he did.
I believe it.
Was this up at a golf course in Montana?
Yeah. No, golf
Oh.
course here. Yeah.
Oh, in
The golf tournament.
Greeley, Fort
Yeah,
Collins.
Gre-
Yeah.
whatever.
Dang, that's
Where was I?
Sick.
It was one of those places. Was
Yeah.
it? I think it was UNC, right?
No, it's smaller. I can remember. I'll remember. I love
A
their
smaller.
Weld County.
Yeah, that's
Weld County
Really fits in
Athletics
there.
is who we were supporting, and the town of
No free odds. I don't
That
care.
cigar.
What
I mean,
they
it was
let
the cigar.
Henry
Yeah,
do
yeah,
on
yeah.
that golf course.
wow. But so there you go. And Alfred, I think also like best friends on those Super Bowl teams too. So I like that. Oh, it's me. I'm up. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for my heart right here and go with one of my like, not fully random, but kind of random all-time favorite Broncos, Wes Welker.
It's a good
Okay.
one.
Wes
a good
Welker
one.
here. Absolutely loved Wes's time with the Braves. It was short. He wore a big helmet at the end, but man, he was so good. Part of that 2013 best offense ever right there. Dre, you got back-to-back picks.
Yeah. Out of respect, we're gonna go with Brian Dawkins in round 3.
Yeah, I almost went there.
You guys have taken some
Mm-hmm.
really good ones. I mean, Dawkins was awesome.
Dawkins
Even
was
though
awesome.
The stretch wasn't super long.
Yep.
It was legit.
And then give
Well,
me
him and Tebow together, just that energy. Oh,
and give me Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah. I'm one of the best free
Interesting. Okay.
agent value signings ever
one
when
of
they
the
initially got him.
Absolutely
And then
phenomenal signing.
And then the
Yes,
story
agreed.
to go along with it, Emmanuel Sanders is in the Chiefs facility meeting with Andy Reid, and his agent calls him, and the Chiefs are close to signing him, and his agent calls him and says, Broncos want to talk to you. And Emmanuel leaves the building as soon as he can, gets out of there, immediately
Legendary.
signs with the Broncos. Then not only the disrespect he paid to the Chiefs, but then he goes, and when he spends like 10 minutes with Peyton Manning, he goes out and talks to the media and is like, oh my God, Peyton Manning's way better than Ben Roethlisberger. Like not even close. And it's like, man, he put himself in Broncos country and became a fan favorite just like that. And then his play on the field backed it up.
absolutely.
You're up, Zach.
Oh, I'm up.
Yeah.
Damn, I shouldn't give you all that credit for that pick right there. Where to go here? Some people are throwing out Phillip Lindsay. This is free agents, not undrafted free agents, so you can't go
Non-undrafted
there
free
right there.
agents. So that'd be fun. Some
Champ
good
Bailey's
undrafted
thrown
free
out.
agents.
Champ Bailey was
Yeah,
a
it
trade.
a
Unfortunately, he'd
guys.
probably be
I
at
saw
the top
Zimmerman
right
thrown
there.
Out.
Yep,
Did
Rod
the research. That was a trade as well.
Rod Smith, undrafted free agent, can't go that route. I'll go. I mean,
trade.
there's only one quarterback that's been taken. I got to go with another quarterback, and that is Jake the Snake Plummer
Oh,
right
good
here. I
one.
think I'm getting
Dang.
great
Good one.
value.
That's
with
where I was
that
going to go.
right
Okay,
there.
well, I was torn between my other two, so I get both. Give me Bill Romanowski and Mark Schlereth.
Yeah,
We're really loading up on that very specific era.
that makes sense though.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
most of
They're
these guys
winning Super Bowls.
are
Yeah.
either Super Bowls 32
Yeah.
and 33 or Super Bowl 50 guys. You
Yeah.
You're right, exactly.
know. Okay.
So, so I'm up now.
Yeah. Last pick for Zach Stir.
I mean, JW, I got to give you credit for this in the Toyota chat. I'm going Shannon Sharp. Broncos brought him back as a free agent right there.
now.
Wow,
it's gonna
that's gonna
help.
look.
It's
That's gonna look a lot better on the graphic
Exactly.
than it really
Yes.
was.
This is a
Round
win
pick.
the graphic.
Yeah,
I thought about it.
This definitely is finding the loopholes in the system.
So what did free agent Shannon Sharp give the Broncos?
Oh,
I'm trying
I
to pull
don't.
it up.
I just know what Shannon Sharp brought the Broncos. That's
2 years.
That's all I know. Right
686 yards and 770. So not bad. Okay.
there. Yeah, not,
there you go.
Not bad. And I get another
Okay.
Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Dre,
Last
round us
pick.
out. Very last pick of the best free agents.
So, Ryan Harris, amazing low-key signing for Super Bowl
Yep.
50 at
Big
right
time.
tackle. Howard Griffith, one of my favorite Broncos of all time. No one will ever forget that great catch against the Steelers. in the divisional round. Ray Crockett, a favorite. I thought Luis Vasquez was amazing. Darian Stewart. I mean, you want to talk no-fly zone.
TJ Ward.
But you know what? Recency bias be damned. Give me Zach Allen.
Yes, actually a great pick.
I think what Zach Allen has done in just this brief tenure with the Broncos is outstanding and is above those other all-time favorite Broncos of mine.
I love it. And I think we showed the Broncos have had a lot of success in free agency. And let's hope that this continues on Monday. And speaking of Monday, we got a free agency special. We typically start the show at 11. Monday, we're starting it at 10 a.m. because that's when the free agent period opens. So make sure to tune in with us live at 10 a.m. to break down all the Broncos signings as they happen in real time. Plus, we have a big announcement for our show personally on Monday. Make sure to stay tuned. 10 a.m. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you when free agency opens up.
Bang. We all silly like the mayor.